Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tam's Psych Advice. I'm Tamara, and I do a lot of videos on Myers-Briggs. You definitely want to check those out. Definitely hit that subscribe button, the like button if you want to see more ESTJ, ENTJ videos, and let me know in the comments if you have any ideas, videos. I will usually honor those if I can, but if you like to look at things from a different angle, then this channel is for you. So today I'm going to be talking about the ESTJ and the ENTJ and the twin factor. And I used to get this type mixed up a lot, but then I hit a place where I felt like I know these two types, like they look totally different to me. I mean, one letter difference changes everything in my mind. So I have a clear picture of what each of these types look like individually, and to me, they are very different. But it used to be that the lines would blur like crazy, and recently, after thinking that I know exactly the difference between these two types, the picture in my mind, well, this guy totally threw me back off, and I find myself back in that place where I was years ago, where I'm struggling to figure out which one of these this dude is. I'll give you an example of somebody that I used to argue with someone about. We used to argue about Dr. Phil. It was like, okay, is he an ENTJ or is he an ESTJ? And we would just get stuck on that and argue about it. And one minute you think he's one thing, the next you think he's another. In my opinion, he's an ESTJ. He has all those things that he says, like, this is a load of turnips, and just all of these euphemisms that he uses. So to me, it's clear he is an ESTJ. But if you talk to other people, they will swear up and down that he is an ENTJ. So I don't know what it is about this type that can create confusion at times. What's funny is Isabel Myers, in her book Gifts Differing, she puts ENTJs and ESTJs together. And so she gives one description of them, and then she does two smaller separate explanations of these two types. So there are going to be some similarities, and the reason is because both of them are dominant extroverted thinking types. So that's where some of the confusion can come in. But like I said, the picture in my mind, to me, they look different, but man, sometimes there could be a monkey wrench that's thrown in there. So creating order out of chaos is what extroverted thinking types do. They like to make improvements and handle life with determination. They're both straightforward, and they like finding the quickest, most strategic route to getting things done. They excel at implementing. They like to organize and coordinate, and usually have great follow-through, although any type can struggle with procrastination. And believe it or not, as much of deadline meters as these types can be, I've seen both of these types procrastinate, which is really fascinating to me. They are competent, logical, and have a sense of order. They're curious and seek to understand the world around them. They're knowledgeable on a lot of things and can explain many intricacies that others just can't. They probably created the word rigor, in my opinion, and are quite analytical in their thinking process. They can break things down to find the best solution. They can be competitive when it comes to challenges. They have a deep passion and enthusiasm for things, and they can push through difficult tasks with robust tenacity. They are good at developing high-level skills. They want things to run smoothly. They thrive on honesty, fairness, and justice. They can also be playful and funny, which could throw some people off in the sense that you don't immediately think of humor when it comes to these types, but they can develop a quick wit. They want to figure things out and get to the truth in their times of solitude, which they can find quite helpful. So the other day, I was listening to a guy that I knew for sure was an ESTJ. And it was a little tricky figuring that out because he's kind of a little different. He might be a little bit four-ish. Fours on the Enneagram can kind of morph and be their own individual person and have some things about them that are unique and different. And every person has some unique and special things about them, regardless of, their Myers-Briggs type. So I finally figured out, this guy is an ESTJ. I just knew it. Well, I was listening to him the other day, and all of that just started, some of the lines started to blur, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is switching sides. He's switching from an ESTJ to an ENTJ. Now, which one is he? So here's some things that he said that were interesting. He said that the quality that he's most happy with about himself is that he likes his analytical mind, and the fact that he can look at anything and break it down to all its composite parts and figure out what's going wrong. And this is interesting because I don't think this guy knows anything about Myers-Briggs, so it's kind of fun to see people describe themselves. He said that he can do that. He can use his analytical skills with people, but he could also use it when it came to businesses. He could take a business and help them to be more effective, whether he knows the ins and outs of a business at all. And that is one of the most wonderful thing about both of those types, is their ability to do that and be very good at it. He likes to find solutions for what's going wrong. But he said, there were times when he would work at a job and get frustrated because he didn't want to follow the rules that were bad. He kept wanting to change the rules and getting into conflicts with the boss, and was like, okay, forget it. I just can't do this anymore. And I know as an ENFJ, me as an ENFJ, I feel the same way. I don't know if that's an extroverted judging thing, because I also get very irritated when somebody is leading me down a path that I think is just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not the most effective way. Okay, this is where the lines start to blur and everything starts to get murky. He said, my brain is constantly thinking about the future. What am I going to do next? Thinking weeks down the line, strategizing 24/7. My brain is running this constant stream of how am I going to do the next thing? Now, when we think of being far ahead in your mind, we think future oriented, we think intuition, always a few steps ahead, a few months ahead. And, it's always interesting to hear people's point of view, especially if they don't know Myers-Briggs and they start saying these things. I'm like, wow, that is fascinating in itself. But he said it allows me to strategize some amazing things if I ever follow through, but I miss everything around me. So like I said, the part about thinking a few steps ahead sounds intuitive to me. He described himself as super creative, and he said, when I can focus on the moment, like stay in the moment, taking everything in that I saw was the happiest moment of my life, when he could just focus on the scenery and nature and just being very present. But he finds himself not being present very much, and he talked about wanting to be back in the place where he could do that again, where he could just be zoned into the moment. But he said he's never able to stay in that place for more than a few hours or more than a few minutes. And he said 90% of his brain is in the past and the future. So all of that, like I said, as an ENFJ, I also struggle with staying in the present, in the moment, enjoying what's happening now. I'm always in the future. So you see why this is starting to shift and confuse me? Goes on to explain himself further by saying that he's constantly thinking of ways to think outside of the box and be creative. And he said, I think that gives me a creative, incredible edge and creativity, but I'm always overthinking and not enjoying the moment. And I don't realize how much I'm suffering because of it until I break out of it and start paying attention to the world. And then my anxiety goes down and my happiness goes up. So does this person prefer to stay in the present moment? Is that where they're the most comfortable? Or is it that they're just not doing that? The person also says that they're kind of ADHD. I don't know if that's a self-diagnosis or really diagnosed by a medical professional. And he said, just looking around makes me happy, like looking around at what's going on in the moment. I thought that I wasn't going to be happy. He said that I guess he always feels frustrated when has projects that are up in the air, because he said he thinks that he's going to be happy when he finishes the projects that he works on, and a lot of things he doesn't care about, he accomplishes it a lot, and the things that he does care about, he never accomplishes. So I don't know really what that is about, but I think that's fascinating to say that the things that you don't care about, you accomplish those, and the things that you do care about, you never accomplish those. And such is life. I think a lot of times professionally we can be in situations where or even personally, that we're doing a lot of things, day-to-day things, where they just task and routines and all that, they take up a lot of time. And so I think there's a part of that we could all relate to, but I really liked how he explained it. He said that one time, he said there have been times when he has cured himself of everyday illnesses in a way that no one ever has, which I thought was fascinating. And he's gone to the doctor and said, I cured myself by doing this. And he, realigned his circulatory system, and he could see clearly in his head what he needed to do to make that happen. And the doctor looked at him like, that's not what happened. How you're explaining how you cured yourself, that's not exactly what happened, because that's not what I read in my medical book. But he said there's been several times when he's cured some, kind of everyday problem or situation or something that's a little quirky or whatever. He figured out how to heal himself. Does that make sense? I mean, I thought that was really kind of funny when the doctor's looking at him like, say what? But that seems like something that an ESTJ or an ENTJ might do. I might associate that more with an ESTJ because they're always tinkering. So the doctor would say that's just a coincidence that you happen to do one thing and then your medical issue turned into a cured or healed thing. But the two things do not go together. Anyway, I'm just curious, do you get ENTJs and ESTJs mixed up, or is it clear to you, or as clear as mud, the differences between the two? I am an ENFJ. I think in pictures and descriptions, and I have an intuitive vision of every type. That's just my weird brain. Some people, and it's great to use, cognitive stacks for everything, but that's somebody else's brand. That's not my brand. That's not how I know who's what type. It just no thank you. That's boring. I mean, for me, it's interesting, but it's boring. So anyway, give me your thoughts on any confusion, or why you think, or how you think that these two types are clearly different to you. And let me know what other topics you would like me to explore in the comment section. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Definitely check out my book, Flip the Script on Love. It's on Amazon by Tamara Hunter Zyon. It will help you clear up any confusion that you have about love so you can get the love of your life and live happily ever after. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.